So students, last class we learned the correct way of measuring length. We also learned how to measure the length of a curved line. Today we are going to learn how to find out whether a thing is in motion, that is whether it is moving or not. We are also going to learn about the different types of motion. I want you to think of some objects you have seen recently. List them in your notebook. A school bag, a mosquito, a table, people sitting on desks, people moving about, maybe a butterfly, a dog, cow, your hand, a small baby, a fish in the water, a house, a factory, a stone, a horse, a ball, a bat, a moving train, a sewing machine, a wall clock, hands of a clock. Make the list as large as you can. Now, think about which of these are moving and which are at rest. How did you decide whether an object is in motion or at rest? You might have seen that the bird is not at the same place after some time, but the table is still at the same place. On this basis, you may have decided whether an object is at rest or in motion. Let us look at the motion of an ant closely. Let's do it through an activity. Spread a large sheet of white paper on the ground and keep a little sugar on it. Ants are likely to be attracted to the sugar, and you will find many ants crawling on the sheet of paper soon. For any one ant, try and make a small mark with a pencil near its position where it has just crawled on to the sheet of paper. Keep marking its position after a few seconds as it moves along on the sheet of paper. After some time, shake the paper to clear it off of the sugar and the ants. Now, connect the different points that you have marked using arrows to show the direction in which the ant was moving. Each point that you have marked shows where the ant has moved to in intervals of a few seconds. So students, motion seems to be some kind of a change in the position of an object with time, isn't it? Remember the list that you had made a while back? Where did you place objects like the clock, a sewing machine, or an electric fan in the grouping of your objects? Are these objects moving from one place to another? Not exactly. But do you notice the movement in any of their paths? The blades of a fan or the hands of a clock, how are they moving? Is their movement similar to that of a train? No, it's very different. Let us look at some of the types of motion to help us understand these differences. You may have observed the motion of a vehicle on a straight road, march past of soldiers in a parade, or the falling of a stone. What kind of motion is this? Sprinters in a 100-meter race also move along a straight track. Can you think of more such examples from your surroundings? In all of these examples, we see that the objects move along a straight line. This type of motion is called rectilinear motion. Before we learn about the second type of motion, let's do another activity. Take a stone, tie a thread to it and whirl it with your hand. Observe the motion of the stone. We see that the stone moves along a circular path. In this motion, the distance of the stone from your hand remains the same. This type of motion is called circular motion. The motion of a point marked on the blade of an electric fan or the hands of a clock are all examples of circular motion. The electric fan or the clock by themselves are not moving from one place to another, but the blades of the fan rotate, and so do the hands of a clock. If we mark a point anywhere on the blades of a fan or on the hands of a clock, the distance of this point from the center of the fan or the clock will always remain the same as they rotate. Let us learn about the third type of motion. In some cases, an object repeats its motion after some time. This type of motion is called periodic motion. Take the same stone tied with a string that you used in the previous activity. Now, hold the string in your hand and let the stone hang from it. Pull the stone to one side with the other hand and let it go. This is a pendulum, something to have a lot of fun with and something that will help us understand more about the periodic motion. Motion of a pendulum, a branch of a tree moving to and fro. Motion of a child on a swing, strings of a guitar or the surface of drums or tabla being played are all examples of periodic motion where an object or a part of it repeats its motion after a fixed interval of time. Have you ever observed the working of a sewing machine? You must have observed that it remains at the same location while its wheels move in a circular motion. It also has a needle that moves up and down continuously, as long as the wheel rotates, isn't it? This needle is undergoing a periodic motion. Have you observed closely the motion of a ball on a ground? Here, the ball is rolling on the ground, rotating in itself as well as moving forward on the ground. Thus, the ball undergoes a rectilinear motion as well as rotational motion. We did many measurement activities and discussed some kinds of motion. We saw that motion is a change in the position of an object with time. The change in this position can be determined through distance measurements. This allows us to know how fast or slow a motion is. The movement of a snail on the ground, a butterfly fluttering from one flower to another, a river flowing along on clear rounded pebbles, an aeroplane flying high up in the air making jet trails, the moon going around the earth, blood flowing inside our bodies. There is motion everywhere if we look closely. It is everywhere around us. So students, to sum up, today in motion and measurement of distances, we learnt about moving things around us and the types of motion. So let's do a little bit of evaluation. My question is, motion of a child on a swing is periodic motion. Next, motion of a needle on a sewing machine is periodic motion. Next, motion of wheel on a bicycle is circular motion. Next, give two examples of periodic motion. The two examples can be motion of a pendulum and a person on a swing. So students, that was all for today's lesson. I hope we meet again. Thank you.